Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual, my buddy, Aaron William Freeland. Just imagine, Aaron, we've been doing this for over 10 years with a slight break in between. I can't believe we've been doing it that long.
Goodness, it hasn't really been a decade?
Yeah, think about it. Go ahead.
You know, after that much time, you'd figure I'd be getting paid for it.
I think my picture froze. I think my mic froze.
I've got you back there.
I definitely felt a big chill go over my back a moment ago. Your resentment is what?
I have no resentment. I just figured I'd be getting paid for it by now.
Too. You know, you're not alone, buddy. Yeah, all kidding aside. Listen, the first story I didn't get a chance to tell you because we had some issues with my mic. Ex-Canucks forward Jake Virtanen was found not guilty of sexual assault. We talk all the time, and we will talk on this program about issues with hockey players. Well, here's one who, at least the system says he was not guilty. There are going to be some people who will suggest he got off for various reasons because they presume that he's guilty, and they don't think it's possible for him to prove he's innocent. How do you feel about that?
Again, this is one of those he said, she said sorts of cases. The unfortunate thing is, in the majority of the cases when it comes down to a he said, she said, they're going to go with the guy with the money. They're not going to necessarily support. Now, we always preach that you should believe the victims.
Well, of course no. I've never said we should believe the victims. I say the victims should be heard completely, implicitly, without any intimidation. They should have the freedom to tell the truth as they know it. The key here is as they know it. As it is could be different than what they believe is the truth. At the end of the day, in defense, Aaron, because I'm going to juxtapose myself because I know the side that you're on. If a man rapes a woman and beats her, he doesn't get away with rape. If a man rapes a woman and damages her in the process of doing that, he doesn't get away with it. If a man asks a woman to have sex and she doesn't want it and she pushes him away and marks him or gets marked, he doesn't get away with it. But when there's an accusation with no evidence to support that accusation, Aaron, we have no choice but to not find guilty. You can't find somebody guilty just based on somebody's words. There has to be evidence, Aaron, and that's
the problem here is that she wasn't marked. She repeatedly told him no and pushed him off.
I know what he's saying. You're missing the point. How does that make him guilty? That she says she told him no. How does that make him guilty?
If she says no, that should be the end of it. Period.
But how do we know? Was somebody there and hear her say no?
So now we require witnesses for this sort of thing, Frank? Is that what you're saying here?
Well,
like we can't just take her word for it. Is basically what you just told me.
Okay, so then in other words, the absence of witnesses proves guilt. That's what you're saying. I just want to make sure that.
What I'm hearing from you, Frank, is the absence of witnesses means that Jake can get away with
no, not just witnesses. I didn't say. See, you're selectively picking from what I said. What I said was that an accusation based on somebody's word alone can't be the reason why a person's found guilty. There's lots of other levels of guilt that are attainable. And I did it backwards on purpose. So when we accuse somebody of sexual assault and battery, right? The battery is the part that makes the sexual assault real, I think. I'm not a lawyer here. I'm not a lawyer. All I'm trying to point out, Aaron, is a person presumed guilty or not? Are they presumed guilty? Is that how it works in your head?
Okay, here's what I'm hearing from you, Frank.
No. Forget what you heard from me. I want to hear you. I want you to put yourself on the line.
This is all part of it, Frank.
Okay.
What you're saying is, unless there's some sort of physical mark on the victim to
No.
go along with her claim that she said no, then he's going to get away with it. You actually said at the start of this conversation, unless if she's damaged, then he doesn't get away with it.
I went backwards. I said if I'll say it again. I'll repeat myself.
You're not helping, Frank.
There's levels of rape. There are levels of rape, Aaron. Do you not concede that?
Rape is rape.
That, or is rape cut and dry?
Are we talking heavy petting without consent? Is that how you want to break it down here, Frank?
No. That's what it sounds like. You can't squirm off the hook. You're on the hook now, and you're going to have to stand up for what you say. You can't attack and assume you don't have to stand behind what you say. You're saying, and this is what you said, because I can do it too. It doesn't matter whether it can be proven or not. If a woman says a man's guilty, he's guilty. That's what you're saying. And I'm saying that.
I did not say that in the slightest, Frank. You're putting words in my mouth. It's not what I said at all.
Okay, so it's true then that based solely on a person's word, you can't find guilty, just based on word with no evidence, no accompanying evidence, zero evidence, only somebody saying they did this to me, and here's no proof. I have no proof that he did it. Then I
never said that either.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I thought that's what I just.
No, it's definitely not what you heard, Frank. Again, this is a case of you trying to put words in my mouth that I didn't say.
Oh, okay.
I never said if a woman comes forward that the person is automatically guilty. I said they should be believed.
Not absolutely.
If I ever disagree with that, but should be believed. There's a significant difference in all of that, Frank.
They should be believed and given an opportunity to substantiate and prove their allegations, which is technically the way every court case works. A person can't be found guilty just because somebody wants them to be guilty or says that they're guilty. There has
At no point did I ever say that Jake Vertanen should simply be found guilty because a lady said that he raped her.
Okay.
At no point did I ever say that.
Well, the tape is here. It's there. Listen to what you said. What I said.
I did. I said should be believed. Should be.
And he should be guilty because she should be believed. Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to.
And again, the word "should" implies conditions.
And that's all I said. Isn't that what I said?
No, that's not what you said at all, Frank. You said straight up that the guy should be guilty based on what I said. That's not what I said.
Oh, okay. Okay. Forget about you. Now we're on me. End of story. What I said was because I want to understand what you're saying, and I think I understand what you're saying. You're leaving room for a person to be innocent if it can't be proven that they're guilty. You're leaving a little room there for that.
Always.
Exist. Perfect. That's what I believe too. See, we're on the same page.
We are, but you're just putting words in my mouth that I didn't say, Frank. And I personally get a little upset when stuff like that happens.
In fairness to me, you're putting words in my mouth too. And the video and the audio is here, so we can move on from this. And people can judge what we said from the beginning to the end. The end of this is I say a person isn't guilty until they can prove it within a reasonable amount of doubt. Actually, without a shadow of doubt, right? And I think you agree with that. But let's finish this by saying this. No man has a right to kiss a woman who doesn't want to be kissed. No man has a right to nobody has a right to do anything to anyone that they don't want done to them. Nobody. The unfortunate fact is that you have to prove it. It can't be just assumed that the person did something that can't be proven. That's all I'm saying, and I think you agree. And that's what I said from the beginning. I never said the guy was innocent just because. I said he was innocent because if you go by the preponderance of evidence and somebody finds him innocent, it means they didn't have the evidence to find him guilty. And that's the way the system's supposed to work. So what does that mean to end this story? If a guy is doing something to you that you don't want, then you have to punch him in the face or something. I don't know. And then end up with assault. This is not right. There's going to be people who are found guilty who aren't guilty. There are going to be people who should be found guilty who aren't found guilty. And there are people who actually lie to get somebody in trouble. Aaron, all three of those categories exist. And they will exist till the end of time because the legal system is run by human beings. Not God, not magicians. I think
the system in and of itself is inherently flawed. and it's,
Absolutely, it
you
is,
know,
and I don't defend anybody doing anything wrong, but I also have to say that it's important that people understand, unless you've walked that walk where you've been accused of things you haven't done, you don't understand the pain and suffering that's also associated with being accused of something you didn't do and having something done to you that you can't prove. They're the same thing. They're the exact same thing, but they're mirror images of each other. That's my whole point on this show. That's my whole point with you. I respect what you have to say, and I believe what you have to say is something you truly believe, and I respect that.
I respect your opinion as well, Frank, and your beliefs.
We can
It works
disagree.
both ways, right?
Yeah. And I really, and I do. So just that sometimes what happens in life is that there is no there is no right answer that we can put our finger on. Like this whole thing, this Vertanen thing, we can't say that he wasn't guilty, but we have to say that the system can't make him guilty. That's what I'm getting from you, and I agree with you that that doesn't mean he was innocent. It just means he was innocent as far as the facts are concerned. We can't.
As far as the justice system is
Absolutely,
conferred,
absolutely. But that's
concerned.
all we got, Aaron. That's
And
all
that's
we
all that we
got.
can go on.
Yeah, that's all we got. Okay, let's move on to other stuff because the reason I get really get hyper with this is because we've got Hockey Canada in deep doo doo.
Yeah,
Now there's a case of what you're talking about, and what I'm talking about too is that the people who feel they were mistreated, illegally treated, abused, have a right to be heard. I'll start there, and you continue with the story.
and as it stands, since 1989, Hockey Canada has paid out $7.6 million in sex abuse settlements. Add on top of that the additional money that has been paid to their lawyers firm. And, you have a system here and a culture that fosters silence and compliance through money. And it's getting to the point where even Sheldon Kennedy is actually calling for the resignation of Hockey Canada's leaders. A lot of them are denying it. They're just simply saying, well, we didn't know, and pleading ignorance and whatnot. But the settlements are there. The payments are there. It's coming out of people's children's registration. People who pay registration funds to Hockey Canada are paying to protect rapists, alleged rapists, and alleged sexual abusers here. And that, I think, should be disturbing to everybody.
And seen.
Exactly.
I agree with you 100%. And if I put my words into it, what I'll say is this: my contribution to that is very simply, victims are victims until proved otherwise. And until they're proved to not be victims, they need to be heard, and their pain needs to be understood. And their pain is something that they suffer forever. This is not something that these victims, and when I say the victims, there's the varying degrees of victims, as I said, to the point where maybe somebody isn't a victim, they're just playing the victim. We have the whole thing here. But at the end of the day, we can't assume it's that person's not telling the truth. We cannot assume that person's not telling the truth. They need to be heard. We need to understand the pain that people feel within organizations like Hockey Night in Canada. We need to understand why Hockey Night in Canada has taken this long and had to get to this point to do what they should have done before, which is address accountability, which is what Aaron wants. I'm speaking for you, Aaron. I apologize. What I want and what every victim wants. They want accountability after being heard.
That's all we can ask for, Frank. And you're not putting any words in my mouth there. It is true. Every victim needs to be heard. They should be believed. And accountability needs to happen.
We know they're not telling the truth, or until they can't support what they've said, we must give them every protection, not only under the law, but emotionally as well, because we have to, in one assumption that I want to make, I'm going to assume they're in pain, and I assume they need help. And that's why we have to take care of them. That's why we have to hear them. That's why I feel the way I do. But I also have one tiny little pinky out there for the people who may not be guilty. And let's make sure we cover their behinds too, because they deserve it as well. And unfortunately, if Vertanen didn't do anything on that topic, or a hockey player hasn't done anything, Yet beside him, there's a hockey player that did do something. To have them both suffer the same way, Aaron, that to me is not right either.
No, it is an injustice if those if innocent people get tarred and feathered with the same brush.
But one also has to remember there's a word in the dictionary. It's called accomplice. And complicity is usually based on silence.
Yeah, it's the expectation that people won't do anything that enables and emboldens these sorts of people.
And then for the people who are silenced because of fear, which is true too, Aaron, that people, all the people who are involved in allowing this to happen, some of them are dealing with fear, whether it be losing a job, losing a position, being not on the team, if I can use that term as well, whether it be management, whether it be players, whether it be support staff, they're afraid of being kicked off the team. The fact is, though, folks, if someone's being hurt and you let it happen and you do nothing, you are guilty. Not to the same degree. Again, I always like my little nuance where I like guilt and punishment to sort of run together in unison in a nice direction. So you're guilty too, not of what the rapist does, but you're guilty of allowing it to happen. And that's not good, folks. We can't allow that to happen. We have to be honest and be forthright. Nothing to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay, so I guess sometimes the bigger mouth does have the last thing to say. All right, let's go to the Canadian Football League. Trevor Harris, Andrew Harris, and of course, Curly Gittins. They become top performers of the week. Aaron, what they do that was so special from your perspective?
Well, Trevor Harris completed 25 of 31 passes for a season-high 341 yards, along with 2 touchdowns in a 40-33 win over the Red Blacks. Andrew Harris and receiver Curly Gittins were also honored. Harris had 33 total touches for 188 yards from scrimmage in a 31-21 win. He also became the 6th player in league history and the first Canadian to reach 10,000 career rushing yards. Gittins finished with a career-high 152 yards on 8 receptions and added a touchdown in the same game.
And this was a game the Argos were supposed to lose, that those 2 players carried the team through to victory until the very last minute. I don't know if you watched the game. It was something to behold, let me tell you.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, a lot of fun. Okay, the Elks, they made a trade for?
They picked up John Ryan from the Tiger Cats in exchange for a conditional draft pick. So I guess they're looking to shore up some more things here. But they picked up Canadian John Ryan from the Hamilton Ticats. Hamilton will receive a conditional 8th-round pick in the 2023 draft in exchange. Now, Ryan from Regina had originally signed with the Tiger Cats on July 10th. He's played 28 games over the past 2 CFL seasons with the Roughies. He started his career with the Blue Bombers before spending 12 seasons in the NFL, where he won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks in 2014.
Red Blacks signed defensive lineman Antonio Simmons.
So this is another one of those signings. I didn't see this one coming. I don't know if you had an inside scoop on this one, but
well, retirement was the reason why it happened.
Was that okay? Yeah, because I know he had originally appeared in game action with the Alouettes, so I'm guessing they were looking to bolster holes.
Absolutely. The Argos Inca quarterback Khalil Tate was with, I think, Calgary, and now he is, or was it Edmonton? It doesn't matter. He's with the Argos now. Retirement here by Simmons of the Argos.
Yeah. So, and again, this is one of those things where they need to keep their numbers up. I saw a lot of people saying, "Well, why would we sign another quarterback when we weren't fully using the ones we already have?" And it's like, well, we are losing one of them to retirement, so we kind of need to fill the hole.
Absolutely. Really good news. Aaron Buck Martinez was back up in the booth.
This was absolutely fantastic. And the roar of the crowd when they put his face up on the Jumbotron and announced that he was back was really heartening. Buck is truly a sports icon in Toronto, building up his brand and working with the Jays both on and off the field for a number of years. So glad to see he's over his cancer and back.
Absolutely. Hockey, we talked about Hockey Canada. Hopefully they'll square things out. Jonathan Taves ponders over a future with Blackhawks in latest interview. So he's not sure that he'll be a Blackhawk.
No, he spent all 14 years of his NHL career so far in Chicago and has been the team's captain since 2008. Now, I mean, while he's, won the cup with them a few times, The highest the team has finished in the last 5 years is sixth in the Central Division after winning just 28 games this season. Now, they've already traded away Kirby Doc. They've already gotten rid of Alex DeBrincat. So it's a bit of a rebuild here, and he's really not sure where he fits in, as well as Patrick Kane. They're both in the final years of deals, and it's difficult for them. So they're not 100% sure where they're going to be.
Yeah, the Blackhawks are the cap canary. They were the earliest example of how the cap, how much you pay their top players means the mid players or the second best players, or the second tier of players, how you have to lose them because you can't pay them second tier money.
No, and it's a major issue for them, obviously, and they are, like you said, they're the canary in the coal mine for all of this.
Yeah, so they've over the years they've had to get rid of people all the time. I mean, Tampa went through it a little bit too, as so it's part of the Leafs have done it without winning a cup. So it happens not just to teams that win, it also happens to teams who are trying to win and are close to winning. So the cap is a real killer for some teams, and it is also a killer for some teams as far as them bonding and then having, pieces yanked out, and then the bonding process has to start over. So that makes it tough.
No, it definitely does, because you have the haves and you have the have-nots, and then you have the middle ground, which is very sparsely inhabited, because those are the contracts that kill teams, are the $5 to $6 million contracts.
So Shane Wright was really upset about the fact that he dropped to fourth and ended up in Seattle. He was reached out to by Mitch Marner, who did not go first overall and did go further down the first round, and the Leafs picked him up. He reached out to Wright for what reason, Aaron?
Well, Marner doesn't really know Shane all that well, but he said he's been impressed by his work ethic. He wanted to say to him, look, this is a perfect opportunity for you to do everything you possibly can to prove that you should have gone first. I also think it's a little bit of seeding for, when he finally comes up for a new contract, he might want to come to Toronto, and just giving him a little bit of a guiding nudge there.
I think Mitch Marner understands completely the position the kid's in, and he just wants him to know you can be a well-respected player. That if if the only respected players in the National Hockey League are the ones that are picked first overall, Aaron, it'd be a pretty small league.
It really would be, but finding a diamond in the rough after the third round gets increasingly difficult.
And then we have, and just to give Shane Wright a bit of a heads up, teams have specific needs. It isn't about the player and how good the player is. There's other things, right? There's the intangibles that need to be discussed. And in his case, he needs to more than worry about the fact that he went down to fourth. He needs to understand and become a better player, be the better player than he was in his draft year. That's how you become great. We have so many, thankfully, so many great hockey players. The best in the world weren't drafted first overall, but when they were drafted, they used that as food for them to make sure that they were better.
No, definitely. And, he finds himself in the same position as another fourth overall draft pick, a gentleman by the name of Jesse Puljujarvi, who actually just signed a $3 million deal with the Oilers.
1 year.
Yeah. 1 year, $3 million deal.
Me contract.
Yeah, that's one of those show me's. So, this is an opportunity for Shane to see where the possibilities are and what could potentially happen.
Let's talk about the Big Brother vibe. People looking over our shoulder, Aaron. None of us want that, right?
No, everybody really values their privacy, but as you may or may not be aware, the Canada's cyber spy agency, also known as the Communications Security Establishment, spent a lot of money this year on research from Ernst Cliff Strategy Company, but ended up binning the entire project just because a lot of the ads that they were trying to put out to encourage people to come work for them came across as a little 1984 and Big Brother-ish.
Yeah, it's a little too much. Aaron, we'll leave it there. Thanks for this. I won't apologize for the intense conversation at the beginning of the program, but I'm going to say this. I know you can handle it.
Hey, we get heated every once in a while, Frank, and this exchange of ideas like that is important every once in a while.
But one thing we need to do, and we want to give an example, is that we want to reach some sort of consensus with each other, respecting each other's opinion. And folks, Use that as an example, and I mean it sincerely. And we're not just talking it, we're walking the talk. So, okay, thanks, Aaron, for this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. You have a good one.
You too. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.